Hello everybody, Tammy here. Welcome to my channel and welcome to the Dolly Room. Okay. So this is my 2025 obligatory planning video and I've broken it up into 3 categories. So I've put them in order of what I feel like my audience might want to know and maybe not know. Okay, so first of all, first part is going to be my plans for my doll hobby. The second part, plans for my YouTube channel. Third part, plans for my life. So if you're not interested in my life, you can just, cut it short and not watch to the end. But this is going to be a bit of a chatty video. I typically don't do sit down and talk videos like this too much, but every once in a while I think it's a good exercise to do. It's good for me to kind of get myself out there. And one of the reasons I started this channel initially was to get over my fear of the camera. And I think I've done that for the most part. I still get a little nervous, but anyway, so let's start with my plans for the doll hobby in the following year, the next year that's coming up here, 2025. And I think a lot of you guys have already kind of said this. I've seen this on social media and, like I said, other people's videos and, that sort of thing. Mindfulness, okay? The big one for me, fighting off the FOMO, okay? The fear of missing out. Pushing against FOMO, pushing against that instant gratification that I really want that, bam, I'm going to get it, boom, okay? Just because I have the money set aside for my doll hobby and then I see this doll and I know I can buy her, take a moment and think about it. Like I said, be more mindful and think it over, because that kind of leads me to the next part of this is the culling of dolls. So you can see I have a lot of dolls. Most of these are my dolls here. You're not seeing every single one of them, in this, shot. But I also have a curio full of dolls. Some of them I will never get rid of. For example, I have my original Madame Alexander collection from when I was a child. And those have a lot of sentimental value to me. They are not worth a whole lot as far as monetary value, but sentimentally they are important to me. But when I start to look at what I have in my collection, I don't have a lot of, I would say, extra dolls, but there are some dolls that I'm just kind of lukewarm about now that I've had them for a while, and I do plan to buy more dolls in the future. And especially I tend to focus on a certain group of dolls, so it just makes sense for me, especially with my limited space. I have, like I said, I have a curio, and then I have this wall. That's pretty much it. I have this room where they're kind of scattered around here a little bit, but really this wall and the curio are it, which is a lot of space, much more than most people have. I will say that. But after a while, I don't like it when it's too crowded. Okay, that just doesn't appeal to me. And so I am going to look at some dolls that, not that I don't like them, but they don't really fit in with my current collecting focus, which, of course, as you know, first of all and foremost is Blythe. Okay, I have this little Blythe dolly here with me. Blythe is numero uno. Okay, and then I would say the next two they're kind of split here. I love Elowen and Nima, my Tonner dolls, and then I really love my Smart dolls. So these two, it's hard for me to categorize them as 2 and 3. So I will say that they're both tying for number 2. I also have Barbies. I have, some American Girl dolls, that kind of thing. But I'm going to look at dolls that maybe haven't really fit into any category. And even though I like them, I could live without them easily. So yes, so I will be culling some dolls. So mindfulness, doing some culling. And I know that's not everybody's cup of tea. If you're a collector and you're not into reselling and, getting rid of dolls in your collection, and you just, that is fine. No judgment here. I'm just saying, for my personal comfort level, I do that on occasion. Other plans that I have for my dolls, also related to Blythe, of course, is getting back to customizing. I am not an expert at customizing, but I have done quite a few things where I've, changed out their eyeballs, and I've done a little bit of carving. I'm not really good at that, and I don't really have the setup to do that too well. So But little things like paint, doing face ups and stuff like that. And I actually have a couple of dolls that are taken apart that I haven't finished putting back together again. So at the very least, I want to get those dolls put back together and finished. But I do miss the customizing. I mean, customizing is actually what drew me to Blythe in the first place. And yet I really don't do it as much as I would like to. So I'm hoping to have some time, or not have time, make time, let's put it that way, to finish up my customizing projects and maybe start on a new one. And then finally, of course, sewing. Sewing is really where my focus tends to be for the most part with the dolls. I have some virtual Blythe retreat patterns that I need to work on for our next retreat, which is going to be in June. Terry and I have already done some videos about that. My sister Terry, Captain Flamingo, she and I run this retreat every summer, and I need to get on that. All right, we have the theme figured out, and I have to come up with some sewing patterns. So that's like at the top of my sewing list right now. And then sewing for other dolls other than Blythe. I adore sewing for Blythe. Blythe brought me back to sewing, actually. But I also have started sewing for the Smart Dolls, and I've done a little bit of sewing for Elowen. But I have quite a few patterns that I would like to start doing, working on using patterns that I already have. And I've actually started that already. I did start that before the end of 2024. I started working with some patterns that I had for Smart Dolls. And I really, that's a very different process than just making the same thing all the time. So I do hope to do more of that. So that's the dolls: mindfulness, culling, customizing, sewing. All right, so plans for my YouTube channel. Okay. I really enjoy this process of thinking of ideas for video, sharing my passion for crafting and collecting. YouTube has really brought a lot to my life, and but I don't want to get obsessed with it. And that is something that kind of relates to what I'm going to talk about, and that is collaborations. Over the past year, I have pulled back on doing as many collaborations as I was doing in the past. And it wasn't that I didn't enjoy the collaborations, but I found them like overtaking what I wanted to do. I have a huge list, a to-do list, as far as making, crafting, etc. for my hobby. And I found that I was doing other people's bidding, so to speak, so I could be part of a collaboration, which I always, you always get something out of a collaboration. I will say I push myself. I try things I wouldn't necessarily have tried before. So there's really that part of it that I enjoy, but I am going to continue limiting the number of collaborations that I do. Yeah, I usually post about 2 to 3 videos a week, and I don't post every single day, and I will keep probably doing that. I just cannot create enough content that I feel is valuable to post on a daily basis. I know a lot of creators do that, and that is awesome that they have the energy to do that. I don't have the energy, and I don't have the time. So I will keep it to the 2 to 3 a week, and hopefully just continue, slowly building my channel. It's been a really slow process, but I have learned that if I try to do every single collab that's out there, try to, also do everything that I want to do, I just spread myself too thin, and then I feel like I haven't accomplished the quality work that I want to do. And I call it work because it's play, but it's a type of work for me. If I'm making a video, if I'm designing something that's part of a collaboration, there is some effort involved, and I don't want to just feel like, oh, I have to do this and I don't have time, so I'm going to just slap something together. That just, and I will say, as a viewer, I love to look at collaborations, but sometimes I can see that that's what's happened to some creators out there, that they've, at the last minute, they've tried to throw something together, and then, it's not always that great as a viewer. So I'm trying to be a little sensitive to that. Also, part of my YouTube plans for 2025 is to share ways with my viewers, okay, to enjoy what we have, to look at what you already have in your collection and find ways to enjoy that rather than look for the next doll. Where's the next Blythe doll going to be? I'm still going to do my Blythe news videos. I'm still looking at dolls and that kind of thing. But sometimes, personally, I feel like I go to YouTube and everything's an unboxing. Okay? And then I feel the pressure of that too, where I have some fabulous dolls, you know, and I think there's a lot of ways that we as collectors can turn to what we have in our collection and find ways to enjoy what we already have. And I know some people are talking about, you know, spending the less the next year, like don't buy, a no buy year or whatever. I've seen videos about no buy. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying I won't be buying any dolls. But like I said before, I'm going to be very mindful about it, and I'm going to try to think of content, and I have a few ideas that will encourage other collectors to enjoy what you already have in your collection. So we'll see if that works out or not. It's a plan, it's a goal. And then finally, on kind of again on that same route, I have quite a stash. It's not huge, but I have quite a small stash. I would say it's in a bag. And then a couple of boxes of dolls and related doll items that I have purchased over past few years that I have just never taken out. I have never done anything with. It's like I'll find something on sale or something I want or whatever, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm going to get that. That'll be a really cool, you know, dress video. I'll dress up a doll wearing this outfit, and I stash it away, and then I don't do it. Okay. And then I'm like, okay, now I have, you know, this bag full of, you know, fashion packs, for example, and I haven't enjoyed them. I haven't shared them with my audience. What gives? And then I want to buy more. Then I find myself shopping for more fashion packs. Girl, you don't need any more. Okay? You have those you haven't even opened. So I will be opening up my bag of stuff to share with everybody over the year. And like I said, it's not huge. I think I have maybe 2 dolls that I have not unboxed, but everything else are just things like I said, fashion packs or props or, you know, doll related items. So those will also be part of my YouTube channel, sharing with you over the next year. All right, so this brings me to section 3 of this video. And if you've had enough, thank you for sticking with me this long. And now I'm going to get a little bit personal, nothing TMI, hopefully. But yeah, so we'll start with the top of my list is actually kind of similar to the vein of clutter and culling. I have a lot of stuff in my house. A little over a year ago, we lost an important family member, and she gifted me a lot of her crafting supplies. She left them to me. And I did give a lot of them away because it was just an overwhelming amount that I personally could not use. And I did find some really good resources, charities and people that I knew that could use some of what she gave me. But I still have a lot. And it made me start to look around this house of ours that we've been in for going on 30 years. And I have a lot of stuff. And my husband and I actually both came to this realization because we had to empty out her house afterwards. And it was, you know, a lifetime of stuff. And if you're in a home for years and years and years, you know, when you get older, you have a lot of stuff, you know. And I wouldn't call it, I don't necessarily plan to be a minimalist, but it does get overwhelming. And there's a lot of things in this house that we don't need. It's very, very difficult though, and I completely understand what her situation was like because you have so many memories tied to objects, and it's very difficult to not only let it go, give those things away, but sometimes you can't find anybody that wants your stuff, you know, and I don't want to just dump everything at Goodwill. So, you know, that was like when I was going through her craft supplies and stuff, I had to spend quite a bit of effort to find places that wanted fabric or sewing machines, you know, that kind of stuff. So I did find places. There was a local place called Sewing for Souls, and they teach Haitian women how to sew. So they needed sewing machines and fabric and notions and things. So I've given them a lot. And then another place, I gave my local theater department at the college where I work, I gave them a whole bunch of amazing fabric that was just gorgeous. But nothing that I don't make prom dresses. Okay, I never see me making prom dresses. And we're talking about yards and yards and yards of stuff. So things that they could really use. They could use them for costumes, for scenery. There was a need there. They were very grateful. So yeah. So when you start to think about, okay, I'm going to, I have this china that somebody gave me. Okay, for example, I have some china that we were given as a wedding gift. We've been married, 36 years. I've almost never used any of that. It's away in a box, in a closet somewhere. But I think about the person who gave those to us and that set of china, and it's difficult to let it go. And then who wants this china? Like if you go into some of these, thrift stores, you're going to see tons of china, super cheap. Okay, so there's that. All right. So yeah, we're going to work on decluttering. I don't expect to get it done in a year. There's no way I can declutter basically 30 some or even longer years, because we've been married and then we were together before that. So we're probably talking 40 years of stuff. I'm not going to declutter 40 years of stuff in a year, but I am trying to dig out some of this house. So there's that. And then as far as me physically, like most people, I need to lose weight. I'm not going to kill myself on that, but I am being a little bit careful. I did have a little bit of success right before the holidays came. And so I'm going to go back to that little routine that I had set up before, Christmas and everything came and everything went, out the window. So I'm going to go back to that, which was just kind of limiting my eating and writing down what I'm eating, instead of just eating whatever I want, whenever I want. And then also physically exercising. Back in August, right before school started, I got sick with COVID. And right before that, because I had the summertime, I was working, but my hours were not as intense as they typically are during the fall and spring semester. So I had a pretty decent exercise routine going on, but then COVID came and I had to go back to work full time as well. So I was at least a month, August, into September, those 2 months were just gone. It was all I could do to drag myself to school and teach. And I was spent. And so I kind of lost that, but I'm back at it. Luckily, one of the videos, or one of the video channels, one of the YouTube channels that I watch and I have subscribed to is Yoga with Adrienne, which you probably, if you know anything about YouTube, she's like huge. Okay. She does not need a plug from me. Let us say that. But she came with, every year about this time of the year, she always comes up with a, 30-day plan or whatever. She came up with a 7-day Prada plan that I've been doing, and it has been kicking my you-know-what because I'm so out of shape. But I have been really feeling good now, getting back on the mat. It has been helpful both mentally and physically for me. And so I'm hoping to keep that up and doing a little bit of yoga on a daily basis. Fingers crossed, I'm going to try to do it in the morning before I go to school. And that way, it's done. Okay. Because even though I have a schedule and everything, stuff can happen. You know how that is. The day goes and then all of a sudden it's over with and you have to go to bed and get up and go to work the next day. So there's that. So yes, thank you, Yoga with Adrienne. Then the next thing is reading. I read a lot for work, a lot, because I'm a writing teacher. I'm an English teacher. I teach composition, technical writing, creative writing. Everything's writing. Everything I teach is writing. Occasionally I get to teach a literature class, but not too often. And so the massive amount of reading I do makes it very difficult for me to read anything outside of work because I'm too pooped, especially my eyes. I get eye strain. However, I've started it already, but I'm hoping to get back on my reading for pleasure kick. I do Audibles, and that's been helpful. I do listen to books on Audible when I'm driving to and from work. every day, so that's a little bit. But I mean the physical act of a physical book, sitting down and reading for 20 minutes, okay? I've been doing that, and I hope to continue to do that. I did pick up a Colleen Hoover book because I knew, for me, Colleen Hoover, it's almost impossible for me not to finish a Colleen Hoover book. I've always finished every Colleen Hoover book I've ever picked up. Okay, so I picked up her novel Layla, and yeah, it's sucked me right in. So I'm back on that. Hopefully I can keep that up. And then finally, the last thing is stress related. Okay, I have to just not let things get to me so much, especially when it comes to my job as a teacher. I need to let it go. Let it go, Tammy. Right? There's a lot going on in the world of education these days, especially in relation to AI, for example. That has been a massive issue that I'm seeing, and it's really bothersome. It makes me very sad for students who feel the need to basically cheat their way through college. And it's not like it used to be when people just plagiarized. They would just copy stuff from Wikipedia. That was super easy, not only to catch, but to prove. And with AI, even though I have a pretty good feeling that a lot of what I've been reading is AI generated and not student written, the amount of effort it would take for me to prove that, considering I have about 150 students every semester, it's, yeah, it weighs on me. So I am trying not to let that, as well as other issues that are part of my whole career thing, get me down. I'm trying to just, like I said, let it go. You can tell it's not easy. Okay. I am getting to the point where I will be retiring soon. I don't have a specific date to share with anybody yet, but I almost am totally vested in the retirement system. And so now I can really start thinking about leaving my job, which is very scary. But, you know, I've worked many years to get to this point. So, you know, that's the next step. Logically, I tell myself that's the next step. Some teachers, especially college professors, I know, I've seen them in my department. They will work and work and work until, you know, basically they take them out in a coffin. And that is not going to be me. I have a wonderful life outside of my career, and I want to enjoy it. But so that's part of the whole, I need to chill out. Think about retirement. This too shall pass, right? So thank you so much for spending some time with me. I'm going to wrap it up here. I've talked quite a bit, and I really appreciate it if you spent all this time with me. Let me know down below in the comments if you'd like to share some of your plans, whether they be with the hobby, if you have a YouTube channel and you want to talk about that a little bit. I do have links turned off, but you know, if somebody, you can just say I have a YouTube channel and they can click on your little icon-y thing and go see you. Or life. If you have something you want to share, feel free to down in the comments below. I also have the Blythedale Buddies group, and if you want to share over there, come by. Okay. Yeah, so that's it. Have a wonderful day. Please give this a thumbs up. Bye-bye.